The sainted coordinators for our Agatha Christie celebration posed some questions to those of us who identify as directors regarding directing the Christie canon. I chose to combine my answer to the question about my directing process of Christie with the question about my individual difficulties with directing Christie. The answers to these questions merge easily, and I shall begin with that response. There are two more memorable than the rest directorial difficulties I encountered with Christie. In the particular Christie I directed, the author writes two inspector types, an Inspector Craddock and Miss Marple. I struggled directing both characters or their actors during my sole attempt with the Christie canon in A Murder is Announced at the Phipps in 2014. Both were talented actors I cast, but my Inspector Craddock, a talented man, had line memorization struggles. And my Miss Marple needed stronger guidance with character motivation. Ironically, their difficulties evidence themselves specifically in their very lengthy interrogation scenes. Dame Agatha does ask a lot of her inspectors. These difficulties, possibly particular to Christie, gave me pause, but I dealt with them as best I could, OTJ. Since 2014, I have mused about the difficulties I had in directing this Christie, including my preparation of that text. A better handling of the line memorization issue might be to engage more thoroughly and earlier with my actors about their characters' thought processes. Usually, I let the actors self-discover during blocking. During intensives, when I hear a repeated questionable interp, we discuss it. But might that be too late? Next time out, I believe that I will work text more strenuously, particularly in those interrogation scenes. Also, I will challenge myself to arrive at more distinctive blocking for the inspector scenes so that the characters do develop a kinesthetic response to the dialogue through movement. Too often, I assign just a basic movement pattern to the only actor moving versus more intricate blocking to allow the actor invention. However, I recall my esteemed undergraduate directing professor telling us to pre-block, to fence the pasture so that the horses can run freely. I hope you won't rescind my grade. In fairness, Christie does write a tremendous number of probing questions for her inspectors. In working with these inspectors' issues in their lengthy interrogation scenes, I gained insight into Christie's writing. Inspectors are the catalysts for those absorbing interrogation scenes to work effectively. Their probing drives the action. Their scene partners require the inspectors driving the storyline, as the other characters are written to respond exclusively to the inspector's questions. These scenes are the inspector's arias with their scene partners doing recitative. In a side note, ad-libbing a line to help out a flailing inspector is awkward. Although I always instruct casts that good ensemble playing is to assist each other with in-character line feeds, feeding a cue to an inspector is fraught. Dame Agatha compels all inspectors to learn their lines. Beyond issues with Inspector Craddock, the Miss Marple character is tasked with figuring out the murderer and the murderer's motives. While interrogating the suspect, Christie wrote this Marple to reveal an unfortunate amount of exposition in proving the murderer's motives. My Marple had her lines, but needed assistance in finding the needs of the character, a sense of urgency and getting the needs met, and the ability to make those needs extremely meaningful, specifically in those interrogation scenes. You may recognize that vocabulary from master acting teacher Larry Silverberg. To solve my actor's problem, I had to dig much deeper into the text myself to help my Miss Marple find stronger motivation for that scene. Bottom line, in dealing with these inspectors' difficulties, I may have discovered some rudimentary tenets in a directing process for use on the next Christie I'm privileged to direct. What attracts you to Agatha as a director? Although Christie is not studied in academic theater, her drama has entertained a century of people. Audiences love to watch her plays, whether the literature is well written or formulaic. In the play I directed, which I did enjoy, I was very grateful that strong, castable folks auditioned, and that I had managed to recruit a very talented, hardworking, affable actress to do my lead, whom I met working on my first show at Theater in the Round. The ensemble a Christie play offers is fascinating, and I have mused often on her text's capacity for building ensemble. Of a Christie play unknown, of another Christie play, the ensemble a Christie play offers is fascinating, and I have mused often on her text's capacity for ensemble building. Of another Christie play, a critic states that the play is not a star vehicle. The play and its author are the stars. This quip illustrates a phenomenon about directing Christie, the play's capacity for an ensemble to enthusiastically fulfill the play's action. It seems that the actors playing a Christie text feel that they have specific responsibilities to make that text work. Actors seem to want to understand and do enjoy their characters' contributions to accomplishing the play. Additionally, I enjoy directing a text in which, as another critic surmises, no one is quite what they seem. They all have secrets. You have to encourage the characters to play the real backstory, then cover it up, which is a challenge and fun. Lastly, I would add that I am attracted to Christie because I can depend upon her use of dialects. She manages to write characters of different social classes from all parts of Great Britain, as well as characters from beyond its borders. It makes the work absorbing, as I like to coach dialects to my casts. In addition to a variety of dialects, Christie's settings and costumes require some history, and I am an aficionada of working in any period. What's your favorite Christie mystery? Probably seeing the films of my favorite Christies first captured my interest. I did not take in many stagings of them. Truly, I have seen more of Christie's repertoire at TRP in the past 11 years than during the rest of my life. Yet, I would say that Witness for the Prosecution and Murder on the Orient Express are my favorite Christies. I believe that those particular films are of high artistic caliber, prompting my interest. I enjoy Christie's variety of characters, The background stories, the discoveries, the numerous accents used, and the ways in which the action holds together in those two plays. Why do you think Agatha has proven to be so captivating after 100 years? Christie's ability to captivate a century of audiences can be effectively explained by two expert critics of her works. Of Christie novels, and hopefully for her plays, the British reviewer Johann Hari offers: "The plots alone do not explain Christie. No, I believe," he says, "that the great unappreciated aspect of her work is that she was an intensely and relentlessly political writer. Christie, a genius when it came to narrative, did not write, as is so often supposed, solely to tell fabulously intricate stories. Moral and political instruction is at the core of every Christie novel." Hari promotes a time-honored premise in that moral and political instruction is enjoyable to a theater audience. Now, old-fashioned director that I am, I would agree that a good old morality play, like the ones the classical dramatists praised, is a good evening in the theater. Agatha Christie's art dwells in moral teachings. New York Times critic Vincent Canby agrees with Hari's emphasis of Christie's moral instruction, but with a bit more conservative flair. Canby opines, "Whodunits are politically conservative, being artifacts of a well-ordered world where all questions have answers, all debts are paid, and all crises rise and fall with title predictability. As much as anything else, this predictability is what makes the Christie work so popular with so many people and stupefies the rest of us. It's what soothes the reader and helps put him to sleep at the end of the day spent in a very different sort of world." Canby further explains of Christie, "She offers an eternal England, or substitute your own homeland, a natural order that will always act spontaneously against evil to restore its own rural sense of calm. There is a clear natural order to Christie's world, and it is only disrupted by greed, wickedness, or misguided political ambition. The world is not, as it seems so often, chaotic and terrifying." Canby and Hari offer thoughts regarding why Christie remains popular with many theater goers: her ability to teach of right and wrong. Who's your favorite Christie character? Well, several. Sir Wilfrid Robarts in Witness, Poirot in Orient Express, and Miss Marple wherever she appears. All of these characters drive the texts, have equal measures of humor and intelligence, and see the world as a place which must abide by the golden rule and the rule of law. Poirot or Marple? I do enjoy Poirot, especially the actors who take him on. I enjoy the Poirot look and the Belgian French accent. However, I adore theatrical characters who are very smart, idiosyncratic women, such as a Miss Marple. Marple practices tough love, but is still very humane and compassionate, knows the ways of the world, and yet sports sensible shoes. I twice performed in a small cast musical called Something's Afoot as a takeoff on a Miss Marple character, and had great fun playing her like a butch Margaret Rutherford in tweeds. Since that introduction to the character of Miss Marple, and from seeing Rutherford portray her on film, this character never fails to amuse. I enjoy her authority, her idiosyncrasy, and of course, her proper Britishness.